Welcome to the Infinity Presence podcast. We have a very special guest, artist Joshua Munoz, aka Blackwing. Welcome.
Thank you.
What's poppin', man? How's your day been?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Finally got to sleep in, get some rest. You know, I really needed it. But I'm charged up, ready to go. Big day ahead of me.
Just on the go?
On the go, man. Constantly. That's been the name of the game lately.
So far, you know that Blackwing is on the go at all times. Creatively, this guy's inspired me. I've been doing yoga lessons with him for nearly a year and a half. He's progressing so much physically, spiritually, emotionally, creatively. You want to talk about the whole transition from a lifestyle that wasn't helping as much and then developing habits over time, just getting into it with that frequency?
Absolutely. I think that like one of the major things to that I had to remember throughout that process, you know, and but I'm not where I want to be quite yet, you know, but it is a really, really good start, and it's already like been a big, you know, 180 as far as like where I was, you know. But I keep trying to remind myself that it's about being patient, you know. It's not always about, like, you do have to fail. You do have to set goals, and, you know, there are some that you do ultimately reach, you know, but some of them just take time. Sometimes you just have to deal with the fact that something isn't piecing itself together at that moment, you know. So sometimes you just got to carry through, you know.
Follow through with what's working for you
at that time.
And building those patterns for the alchemy that we all need in life. You know, we all develop our own systems, and I guess what we're talking about really at large is your frequency, you know, the energy that you bring out to the universe, and what's going on internally, you know, will present itself outside, and you want to help other people
absolutely
feel good, create, you know, and not be so bogged down, weighed by the past, you know, worrying of the future, just enjoying right now. And so I think what it was we've talked about is like, hey, I'm killing it at my job. I'm bartending. I'm making a lot of good connections because you do photography. I would say overall you're a multimedia artist.
For sure. That's what I ultimately wanted to become. I didn't
Right.
want to be just a single faceted artist, you know.
Right.
Because I've always been into all sorts of mediums of art, you know, so kind of, and we discussed this, you know, over like through all the yoga sessions, and
Right.
you know, we discussed this. I discussed like just potential ideas, things that I want to start to get into, you know, and just seeing it all kind of culminating is really, really nice. You know, it makes me feel really good about myself, you know, and people are enjoying the art, and I'm getting tons of good feedback, you know.
Right.
And just to feel good, I can help others, you know, feel good as well, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to just do that.
I want to brag on him a little bit. He's selling his prints. He's making connections at brewing companies, helping them with their art, with just marketing, all the good stuff that they have to offer. And since day one, I knew he was doing really well with photography. But I remember the first thing he said is, man, I really want to be making music again. And over a year and a half later, you have how many tracks out now?
I've got one official track out, but I've got you know, plenty in the archive that I share with friends and stuff, you know, because it's just you know, it's not always about doing it for an audience. It's about doing it for yourself, and you know, just to even show my friends or family, you know, just even if it's just a minute and a half of a beat I wrote or something, you know, it's just like, oh, like I was playing with this sound, you know, what do you think about it? Yes. You know, and to just get feedback, and to just you know, not everything has to be finished, you know, and not everything gets finished with me, frankly, you know. So like, but for me to get to the finish line is a big deal, because I would struggle a lot with starting things and not finishing them, and I feel like any artist,
everybody's working on that.
Any artist who, especially music producers, you know, they start things and they feel it, and sometimes they just overthink the process, and then it dies out. The idea dies, you know.
Yeah,
so
when you've heard it like 300 times, and it's like, I am absolutely overthinking it, when it's like, I originally made it to feel good and express myself, but it's like, why am I restricting it? You know,
and a lot of that
to share. It's like,
a lot of that had to do with changing the my musical process, was changing the way that I actually make music.
Yeah.
Because when I used to make music years ago, like I would play with a lot of synthesizers, and I would obsess over wanting to mold the perfect sounds and you know, do all that myself, you know. But I kind of switched to a more sample based process where like I have folders and folders of random sounds and things that, you know, I can play
Just
around with.
Ready to go. Like,
ready
you just
to
gotta
go.
Cook it up a little bit more.
It's ready to go. You've got a good bass. You know, you can work with the bass, and then it's just insane how some samples, it's like song clips, can fit with other things that are completely not like it. You know, like so that helped a lot. You know, because I was constantly digging too far, because in music production you've got tons of knobs and handles and, you know what I mean, like parameters and things like that to edit, and it can be kind of, you know, overwhelming for sure.
This guy shows me a lot of new
for
music.
Sure.
He's got like databases on databases on databases.
And it's also important to just stay inspired too.
Right.
That's like my biggest thing. Like, inspiration comes from everywhere. It comes from everything. You know what I mean? It's from like friendship, connections. You know what I mean? It's about like seeing things as a whole and being grateful, and also appreciating very small things. You know what I mean? Even if it's things that like make you uncomfortable, or, you know, like
I'm just in the back of my mind, I'm like, it sounds like the White Sands thing.
Yeah.
The whole trip of like small things that you're like, I'm just glad we made it to the campsite.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about in April we went to White Sands?
Yeah, we went to
Mexico. What an adventure that was.
Yeah, that was actually really, really, really fun and pretty spontaneous, actually. Woo. You know, but yeah, we went up to Ruidoso, New Mexico, and we stayed there for a night prior to going to White Sands, New Mexico. And it's a white sand dune, for anybody that's unfamiliar. It's a
big.
Yeah, it's the largest sand dune, you know, collection of sand dunes, you know, in the country. So it's like, you know, and it's a very, awesome, very unique place. Like, it kind of has like it's kind of like you're on another planet. Like, that's how I describe it. You know, sometimes like the silence, you know, it's just it's a very surreal place. You know, we went there because it was something that we talked about shortly after like starting yoga, right?
Yeah, you would just be like, I remember you said,
have you ever been to
New
White
Mexico?
Sands, dude?
He was like,
yeah,
New Mexico, and his eyes got really big. He was like,
yeah, that place has something
just
special.
Like, grew on me. I was like, my eyes got big too, and I'm like smiling, like, okay, like this looks like a really good spot for pretty much.
It's an incredible place.
Reset, enjoy the moment, you know, enjoy the beauty. And I think the craziest part of it was we overpacked, and it gets windy, like it gets very intense. And so we're finding our little primitive camping spot, and it's over on one side, like almost like an island, and the 9 other outdoor spots are way off in the other direction. And with these dunes and stuff, it's carving the sand out, so it's always resetting. It's like we knew the location, really. It was like, okay, it's going to be over there. But the fact of, oh my God, I'm carrying all my gear to the spot. I think it was a half mile, but it felt like, oh my God, it felt like 10 miles. And like, it was scary.
It felt like forever. Well, because it's hot, and the sand dunes are tough to navigate through. Like when you're carrying an ice chest and you're carrying a tent and you're carrying everything, you know, we're talking, dude, it must have been like over a half a mile away from our car.
Yeah, I think it was a little over half a mile, because they said, well, it's like they said roughly half a mile, but the other ones though were really, really close together. Well, we chose that one. We're like, let's get the one where we have absolute privacy. Mm-hmm. But
we were very fortunate to get there because there are only 10 camping sites.
Yeah.
For the entirety of the park.
Yeah, you have to get there early. Ultimately, we made it. It was a beautiful trip. We encourage people to travel, express themselves creatively, live by peace and love. If you want to find Black Wing, go on SoundCloud. Follow Shots by Joshua on Instagram for all the photography. We got much more stuff coming up. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
Peace.
Peace.